Well, good afternoon. Ken Ham here again from Answers in Genesis Creation Museum and Ark Encounter. I have a special treat for you today. I actually was contacted through Facebook by someone who told me that they were coming here, and I thought, wow, that's interesting. And then today they came, and I came out here to meet them. And so I'm going to let her introduce herself because I can't pronounce all these words. And so you are?
My name is Becky Khilabbak, and I'm from Arctic Canada. I'm Inuk. I come from the Inuit or Eskimo people of the Eastern Arctic in a territory known as Nunavut, right across from Greenland.
I've got a feeling you're probably the first of the Inuit group to come here and visit the Creation Museum and the Ark.
I believe so. I haven't heard of anybody else coming.
So how many people are there in that group?
Well, in our territory we have 32,000 people spread over 2 million square kilometers. But my people are actually across 4 countries in the circumpolar Arctic. So Greenland, Alaska, Arctic Canada, and Arctic Russia. And there's about 155,000 of us, I believe.
Well, that is incredible. So how did you find out about Answers in Genesis and the Ark and the Creation Museum?
Well, I was born again on August 6th, 1999, and when I became a Christian and I fell in love with Christ and God, being in such a remote place, I was reaching out, seeking any materials, videos, anything that could just feed my faith and just to be nourished by the word and truth. And I found your ministries back over 15 years ago, and I've just been following you and watching your videos and
so even up there in the Arctic you found out about Answers in Genesis.
Well, I've had to order all of your materials and wait patiently while it comes all the way up to the Arctic through the mail, through the postal system. So yep.
And that is absolutely fantastic testimony. I just love to hear that. And you gave me a special gift. I'm going to get my assistant here to hand these to me. Yep. And would you explain what these are?
Certainly.
You gave me these, so could you explain who did that and what they are?
So these are for your lovely wife. They are sealskin bracelets. My mother made these before she passed away. My mother was a well-known fashion designer. She had her work in Milan on the fashion runway, in the fashion capital of the world, and she was a senior instructor.
So sealskin bracelets.
Yep, sealskin. So my people, we don't waste any parts. We're of a hunting culture. We were of a nomadic culture. We waste none. And so my mother took some of the extra material after making full-size garments and turn them into bracelets. So this is natural sealskin, ring seal, and then this is also ring seal, but it's been bleached. It's not baby seal.
She did this before she passed away.
Yeah,
and you're giving those to my wife.
Yes, and they're among the last of what I have of what she's created, and I just wanted to give it to you as a gesture of thanks, just for what you're doing, just your ambition, your loyalty to Christ, your knowledge of the Word, your just fearless way that you proclaim His truth. And it's just so many of us. I know I'm not alone in saying that the work that you've done, that work that the Lord has done through you, has just brought Him so much glory and has blessed so many of us so richly. So I wanted to give you some gifts.
Wow, that is so special of you. And what are these cards here?
This is just some of my artwork. It's just some drawings that I've done by hand, celebrating our culture, some of the traditional clothing that our women wear, much like what I'm wearing here. And the reason why I can proudly show and celebrate our culture is largely because of your presentation, One Blood, for example.
Because one blood, one race?
One blood, one race. Because when I was younger, especially as a teenager, I used to bleach my hair blonde. I was gothic, before I was Christian. I was always trying to run away from who I was, who God created me to be, because there was a lot of confusion. A lot of young people up where I live are going through an identity crisis. We have a high suicide rate, and what I've learned about who I am, who I've been created to be, I realized that I could be myself as our unique people group that God has created us to be. I didn't have to try to be anything else. And so when I celebrate our culture, it's God. God has it's in His plan for people to branch out and to, to look different, to have different cultural customs, and that it's beautiful.
So the one blood, one race message meant a lot to you.
Oh yeah. It was life changing. I can say it was life changing. And so when I host local, regional, national, and even international youth summits, symposiums, conferences, workshops, and it's all on leadership. I'm trying to raise up and empower young Inuit, and what I've learned through your ministry is really what drives what I do.
That is fantastic. So you shared that message with the others and the one blood, one race?
Yeah. And how we're equal and how we're all created in God's image, and being able to answer questions about basic genetics, and just your materials have given me the tools to be able to answer difficult questions, which I don't think I would have been able to answer on my own.
So what do you think of the Ark and the museum?
Amazing. I just in walking through the Ark, just the scale of it, and just the amount of work that has gone into it. It just shows how it's all to His glory, and it's truth.
Was it worth it to come all the way from the Arctic to visit the museum and the Ark?
Beyond worth it. I've been telling a lot of my friends and family that they should come back with me and that we should plan another trip. I see that you're still working on even more attractions.
Oh yeah,
I think so.
Things all the time.
Yeah, so we're planning to come back to see some of the new stuff.
Well, great. And what's the language that you speak? Your
Inuktitut.
Say it again.
Inuktitut.
Okay, so John 3:16, right? For God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son. Can you say that in your language?
Okay. Gutiu naligilaw nga tigo ilnitua nga kay kulawk nga tukulawk tunilu annaw ma yaw gunnang niya katta Jesus yu aw ngago.
Oh yeah. Okay. So how do you say hello in that language?
Khanuipi is kind of a how are you? Hello. Khanuipi. We have a sound.
Oh, okay. Sort of like they do in Hebrew, right? It's sort of. Yes.
If you want to know something interesting, we've been talking a lot about Hebrew and how different languages connect in different ways. Our word in our language for gathering, if you collect and gather, our word for that is Noah, like Noah, with a kind of a at the end, a little bit like the Hebrew. So the way Noah gathered, two of every kind, that's our word for gathering is Noah.
Isn't that fascinating? Yeah.
It's a verb.
I know. It's interesting in the Chinese language, and a number of the characters, you see a reflection of things that really pertain to biblical history.
Yeah, exactly. So, and that's what had me interested in exploring my own language, and I've been finding some interesting connections.
Well, that's fascinating. Well, before we finish here, we'll come over here and we'll meet somebody else here, and you are
Paul Hitz.
Paul, and you and your family, you have what,
my wife,
102 kids?
Yeah.
Does it seem like that at times?
Yes, sometimes.
So you have seven
and
one on the way?
One on the way.
That's
yes,
8,
sir.
so you have 8 children.
Yes.
But you're a missionary up in the, with, you can come over here with me. You're a missionary up there in the Arctic.
Yes, sir.
And so you get to know people, like, how do you say your name again?
Becky Kilabak.
I can't say the last part, but we'll call it Becky.
Kilabuk means vast heaven.
Kilabuk.
Yeah,
Almost. Okay. And so did you learn the language?
Yes. Well, more basic conversational, not fluent yet. But
okay.
Becky's a kind of a linguist herself, so she's also been a big help, helping us to get better.
And you're ministering to these people up in the Arctic.
Sir.
So you're pretty cold most of the year, right?
Yes, we are.
You don't live in an igloo? Do they live like that today?
No, but they still make them.
They still make them?
Yes.
Yeah, you do?
Going out hunting, stay overnight.
And you take the gospel to them. I admire you for being up there. How do your kids like it up there?
Well, most of them, they grew up there, so
they just it's home to them?
Yes.
And do you see people coming to Christ?
Yes, I have to say it's a slower ministry.
Yeah.
Where we're trying to really just lay that solid foundation.
Right.
Could be easier to maybe try to quickly make professions, but just trying to make sure that there's
then
a
they mightn't be
solid,
real.
yes,
Yep.
a solid understanding, and that's we've seen that's taking serious time.
Yep.
But with that, we are seeing our church begin to grow, and
yeah.
seeing things and seeing
I know with
an impact.
some people groups around the world, it's very hard to take the gospel to them, and you've got to lay that foundation
Yes.
so they'll understand.
Yes,
And you start right at the beginning,
right.
and to do that. And you've got some of our books up there in the Arctic.
We do, actually. I've read quite a few, and many of those materials are very helpful, and we've used those things. So, yes.
I almost cleaned out your gift shop there.
Oh, did you?
We were joking about her wanting to back a truck in or ask
Oh,
for a
okay.
rent one, but,
And so, what do the kids think of the Ark?
what did you guys think of the Ark?
Was it small or big?
Big.
It was big. Oh, was it bigger than you thought it'd be? Yeah, it
Yes.
was. Good. So, do you? So, what's the country you live in? Where do you live?
Iqaluit,
Well, that's the city, right?
Baffin Island.
Baffin Island, in Canada. That's right.
So you're actually in Canada. I could tell that from the boots. I could tell you from Canada. Well, we don't often meet a missionary from way up there in the Arctic, and we don't often meet, rarely meet. Well, this is the only time I've met someone from the Inuit people, and they're originally called Eskimos, right? And so, did your grandparents live in ice houses or great grandparents?
No, it was my grandparents that were the first to have contact. I mean, like day-to-day working contact.
Okay.
They still, early part of their lives, they would have spent out, like nomadic, like out on the land. And then my mother's generation was the first to learn English. And
Oh,
I'm the first
okay.
generation to be traveling worldwide. And all
Is
of
that right?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that is really special. Well, that's a historic moment for me, so it's great to meet you.
Thank you.
Again for the gifts.
Historic.
And we pray God's blessing on you up there in Canada. I'll send the kids something up there
thank you.
for them.
That'll be special.
And so we'll do that for them. So with that, we're going to sign off here. This has been a special treat. I encourage you to get your friends, family to watch this. I think it's great for kids to watch and learn about what's happening in other places of the world and about people from other ethnic groups who love the Lord Jesus. So with that, we'll start. Do you want to say goodbye in your language?
Kuya nami laki, tamani yung nakata, nakummi laki.
Yeah, that's what I thought it would be too. Okay. With that, we'll sign off.